Regular business meeting of School District 96 Board of Education will now come to order. Juanita, can you take the roll?
Okay. Lisa Gaynor.
Here.
David Kadama.
Here.
Rachel Morello.
Here.
Randy Brockway.
Here.
Michael O'Brien.
Here.
Arthur Perry.
Present.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Here. Great, thank you. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I understand we do not have anybody who signed up for public comment, so we will move on to an update on Foia requests.
So we received the following request for the documents that you see in your packet from EGA, which is the Better Government Association. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble with but they've asked for copies of our collective bargaining agreements, administrators' contracts, and any confidentiality agreement. So those are all attached for you. Those were provided for them incomplete last week.
All right, thank you.
Did they give any context to the request at that chance?
No, that was exactly what you see.
Are they doing a study of all districts?
Exactly what
Yeah.
is in your packet is what we received. So it was just a request for information.
We do not have any announcements, so we will move on to the minutes of previous meetings. Up for formal acceptance are the minutes of the Policy Committee meeting of November 19th, the minutes of the regular business meeting, public hearing, November 19th, the minutes of the closed session of the regular business meeting, November 19th, and the minutes of the Education Committee for December 3rd. May I have a motion to accept these meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we accept the minutes of previous meetings as listed on the agenda. Juanita, can you call the roll?
Okay. Randy Brockway.
Yes.
Lisa Gaynor.
Aye.
David Kadama.
Aye.
Rachel Morello.
Aye.
Michael O'Brien.
Aye.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye. All right. We've accepted the minutes as listed on the agenda. Thank you. Next, a report from our superintendent for the district guiding principles. First of all, I guess, are there any questions on the information presented in the packet?
So in your packet, as Ms. Manager pointed out, is the report, a complete report under academic and professional excellence. You see a summary of all of our committee work, the priorities of our special services department that were identified, as well as principal observation and the professional development opportunity called Undercover Boss. In financial and operational excellence, we shared with you we are ADA compliance on the parking spot, an overview of what happened with the district server rooms and what was found. The tax levy information will be in your packet, and we're going to take action on that today. I know Mrs. Gaynor is going to give a summary on the final walkthrough in her Finance Committee report, and then we are exploring online student registration for next year, and we provided those costs for you. And I know Mr. Kadama had a question about the comparison of costs. David, you asked us to be prepared for what is the cost of our current process with human resources and other, and we followed up with that, and it's approximate what we have paid to currently our online registrar in overtime from March through August, because she'll start that process of gathering all the materials, working with secretaries, all the way through August is about $10,500, and that is just in overtime rate. So that doesn't count any supplies. We haven't looked at that piece yet. So any paper, or any other materials that are needed.
That's great.
We conducted our open forum meetings where Mr. Zayed, Dr. Gannon, and I went to each building and just had open forums, kind of like town hall meetings with our staff. We have sent out parent applications for committee, and they'll be posted until Friday. And then we are going to be working on looking at parent engagement survey results in January and presenting those to you at the Education Committee meeting in February.
How was the parent application committee communicated?
It is on our website, and I'm going to let Dr. Gannon, would you mind speaking? Mrs. Gaynor asked how it was communicated.
Oh, sure. It was sent on e-backpack to parents.
Okay. I didn't see. I guess I didn't see it as a parent, maybe because I didn't look at the week that it went.
But I do think we could use a reminder, that it's out there. I mean, I think we could communicate it again because right now we're short parent representatives on the committee still.
And that's all I have.
All right. Just a quick question on this new report, I guess we're calling it the Displaced Students Report. Just who created that?
It's not a new report.
It's not right now.
Yeah, we've been getting it on a regular basis.
Oh, I guess.
I mean, going back.
After
years.
it's been, and I was just shared with this too, or presented with this too, it's after every trimester, how many students are displaced from their home school due to either request or class size.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
This is something that we were looking at quite a bit to gauge our class size policy and school assignment policy in general, how many students are displaced. So I'm glad we're keeping an eye on this. I mean, when we come to decisions about class size and things like that, this is the kind of thing we need to be looking at, I think, or one of the things.
Yeah, it's laid out nicely and it's easy to follow. So, thank you. Next, are reports from the various school board committees, starting with education.
Yes, we had a really great discussion and long meeting. So rather than totally recap that for you ad nauseum, we did just accept the minutes. So briefly, I want to recap that. We had a presentation from Dr. Gannon about the committee's update, the CCAT, which is the Common Core Action Team. I'm going to test myself, see if I get these right. The SST, which is the Special Services Team, and the 21T Cubed, which is 21st Century Think Tank Team. And then we had ELL best practices, and then a description of the Multi-District Institute Day and the District Institute Days. And then we had a very good discussion, which I think started conversations about special education from Ms. Fallon and Ms. King. So in their progress thus far getting started and what their goals are going forward. So, and then discussion of 5th grade Quest math, successes and difficulties. And we briefly discussed early entrance procedure, as we actually brought up again in policy committee this evening, and then a brief discussion of class size. So that, rather than go too much more in depth, that's.
No, I agree. We were all there. So, all righty. Thank you.
Sure.
Finance committee.
Finance committee has not met since the last general meeting. Our next meeting will be January 7th at 7 o'clock. We did it wasn't the finance committee, but last week, the construction team from the summer. So that was Concept 3, Ramesh, Zach, myself, Bill, Radke, did a final walkthrough with Simpson Construction. And We're close to having the punch list complete. I was pleased with the amount that they have completed, but they still have a couple items as well as Aceteli. So both, you'll notice on the finances that came through from Ramesh and Visitar that we still are retaining some monies for both, for Honeywell and Aceteli as well as Simpson until those items are completed. So that's the status.
Alrighty, thank you. And Policy Committee, which we,
House Committee had just met before this meeting. We are moving forward. 4 policy updates from our November meeting for final action for tonight, as well as 9 policy updates that were that we did a second reading at our policy committee today for final action at this board meeting. We then had an update from the chair from me on policy 7:50 on early admissions, noting that at our education committee, past education committee, that we voted 6-1. We're not going to consider any revisions to the early admissions policy. There's an inquiry about whether to amend it so we could allow early admissions into kindergarten. So we're not moving forward with that. Superintendent Sharma Lewis updated us on policy 7-285 on the development of a food allergy management program. This is something that is required by Illinois school code, correct?
Correct.
Right. So she's working on that, and she was just reporting an update to us, and she is going to continue to work on that with the leadership team and report back to the committee in February. We started looking at, we did a first reading of 1, 2, 3 policy updates from our press update 82. We are sending 2 policy updates to have review by our board attorney related to ethics and gift bans, and our favorite policy 2150 on committees related to PIRA committees and reduction in force committees that are required by a statute now. So those are going to be reviewed, and that is the highlights.
thank you, David. And, okay, next, report from our working committee on procedures. Now you, Rachel.
Yes, I reported, as I reported in the policy committee, I have not done any work this month, so it's status quo from the last month, and I will get to work on it as soon as possible after the holidays. I'll push forward.
All right.
Have a better report forecast for next month.
Do you think that we could establish a schedule maybe for meeting?
Probably not off the top of my head.
Okay.
So
I don't mean right here today, but
I think Mike and I have met already in person. I'm probably going to do a lot of it, the rest of it, remainder of it by email. I'm going to throw it, Mike and I are going to come up with something after I can put it in writing, and then I'll include Brian and Zach Zayed on it.
okay.
But so there's no plan to actually meet in person, just kind of.
All of us together?
Yeah.
No, not at this time.
Okay.
I'll do it if it's feasible, but it seems to be, we're going to have to do it via email on this one.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And any reports from board liaisons? IASB? Any new?
So I attended the III conference, as well as our superintendent, and
I did as well.
And you attended as well. I thought it was very informative, a lot of good presentations. I attended a couple on finance issues, tax levies, of course. Had to attend that one. And then I also attended one on peer evaluations as well. wasn't able to get that certificate of training, that professional development, because
I saw that and was a little confused by it, but I know better for next time.
yeah, so do I. So do I. So do I. But I thought it was great. Saw a lot of our colleagues from the District 208 there. Get superintendents were there. So again, I would say for next year, I encourage other board members to consider attending the meetings. You can actually there's definite opportunity to fulfill some of your statutory requirements in your board training at these events. Wani, I'm sorry, I don't have it. There is a EdRed conference. What is it? What's it? January 27th. January 20. Oh, you have it right. Thank you. Helpful. January 27th on Monday. Our EdRed lobbying organization. That's the education and I forget what it stands for, but it's the lobbying organization for Western suburb school districts. They're holding a school technology roundtable, and I thought that was very timely for us. And so I will be attending, as well as Mary Rose and Lisa will be attending as well, and as well as Superintendent Sharma Lewis. Like I said, I think it's extremely timely for them to have this kind of a roundtable discussion about engaging students in 21st century learning. And so after that is, we'll report back to the full board what we learned at the conference. And that's my report.
Alrighty. Excuse me, I am, sorry, report from the PTO liaison.
PLT parent leadership team met in November. We will not be meeting in December. In November, we just had a discussion about the upcoming calendar, and Bhavna floated some ideas of change that she might be considering to present to us, and kind of let the PLT give her some feedback. And there was also some interest in understanding Google, and the district offered a Google training for some of the PLT leadership on how to use it.
I mean, like Google Docs and
Yeah,
Google
Docs,
Drive and all that stuff. Can anybody sit in?
And completing like forms. They were talking about,
Right.
using forms and
Yeah.
registrations. So Matt was available to help any presidents that want to do that.
Okay. All right.
That's all I wrote.
All right, thank you. Patty, would you like to, is there any reports from the Riverside Education? Thank you much. Okay, next we're moving to the financial portion of our agenda.
Oh, I did want to.
I'm sorry.
I forgot one thing. That there is going to be a discussion held next. I think it's Thursday. It's either tomorrow or Thursday. I'm still trying to catch up with my week here. Just getting back. That's going to have a number of state legislators who are coming to talk about pension reform. And so I am planning to go down. I think it's at the Chicago Union Club. So
Okay.
I do plan on attending that, and I will report back to the board if there's anything significant that I hear, or if it's the same old rhetoric. Yeah, we know it's a huge pension problem, and we're working on it. Hopefully
this-
there'll be more substance to that.
Who's the sponsor of it? Do you know?
I
offhand?
don't have that handy.
Is it the Chicago Federal? Yeah, there's a bunch of groups that,
I think it might be a law firm that's gathering
Okay.
all the people together.
all right.
I don't have that.
Great. Great, thank you. Next, we're moving to the financial portion of our agenda. Some informational items on invoice and the spending report. Does anybody have any questions beyond the information already provided?
I have one. The repair that we made to the Blythe sewer solve that problem at Blythe?
Well, there were two drain tiles that we were concerned about. One of them was repaired. That was the one that led through the parking lot. The second one that we thought may have been a result of the construction was not. It's a deteriorating
It's just
drain tile.
age.
Yeah, and that's going to have to be, we're going to have to fix that.
But then that'll solve the water
Yes.
problem.
So, Zach, is that the water problem that affects the basement?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cost on that?
The one in the parking lot was the main
No,
cause.
wrong one.
Water rising in the basement. In the past, there's been a little bit of a water issue with this other drain tile. But the major one was from the parking lot drain tile.
Okay. So this will address any and all
Yes.
basement water problems at Blythe?
Right.
Okay, good.
What's the new outdoor horns at Ames?
Those are the speakers outside the Amesville.
Oh, the horns.
They're replacing the old ones. The old, no. Yeah, the old ones aren't working. Okay. They have to be replaced. They're bull horns that we're putting out.
I have one question. I believe I saw a payment on your summary for client first in about 3,000. I'm going from memory on this.
Yes. 3250.
That's the remaining payment of the for the assessment date.
All right, what was the total amount that we paid, that we owed them, and then what, explain to me the installments aspect of?
It was 9,000 was the estimate. I believe we already made a payment of 5,000 something, the first payment, and then this is a remainder that.
All right, so this is the second and final?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on any of the financial information in the report? Or in the board packet, actually? Nope. All right, well then now I'd like to move to the approval of the resolution to adopt a certificate of 2013 tax levy. As you know, we approved our tax levy at our special meeting on December 3rd, and now we have a resolution to file the certificate. It's attached to the resolution.
Rose, we need to take action on our actual payables.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I always want to move ahead. All righty. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the payable list?
So moved.
Second.
I move that we approve the financial general invoices schedule A740, just to make that official.
No. Yep. Well, let's see how it's written here. A740, yes.
Wait, what is A7?
Just, it's the schedule.
Oh, that's the official, okay, that's the. So second.
Second? All right. Anita?
Lisa Gaynor?
Aye.
David Cadamo?
Aye.
Rachel Morella?
Aye.
Michael O'Brien?
Aye.
Arthur Perry?
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia?
Aye.
Randy Brockway?
Aye.
All right. We have passed the payable pre-list A740 as presented in the board packet. Now we will move on to our levy. To adopt a certificate of 2013 tax levy as presented in the board packet. Is there any, may I have a motion?
I move that we,
All right, and then second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Nope. All right.
Arthur Perry?
Aye.
Michael O'Brien?
Aye.
David Cadamo?
Present.
Randy Brockway?
aye.
Lisa Gaynor?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Rachel Morella?
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia?
Aye. Thank you.
Assume that
We have passed the certificate and it'll be filed.
you have anything to clarify on your present vote?
I abstain.
Okay.
Thank you.
He says you voted present. It's not even on her list.
What? She did put them on it.
I mean, the only clarification is actually what I say during our finance meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Thank you. The next item is our action items, board policies under review. We've gone through them earlier in our policy committee meeting, and we will be, after our second reading today for item I-1, A through M, and items I-2, A, and B. That'll be what we were approving. We've determined we do not need to approve I-3 because we are letting that, I-3A, because we are making no changes to that policy. So may I have a motion to approve action items I-1 and I-2 policies for final adoption?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Call the roll.
Just for the benefit of the audience, all these policies are posted to our website under the board policy manual.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
David Kadama,
Aye.
Lisa Gaynor,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye. Next would be new business items for updates and discussions, and the first one would be our recognition event update. I think Mike has some updates.
Well, if Patty Gill can help me on this, we decided on May, what was it, 9th?
9, yeah.
Which would be a Friday. It's the typical time of year we usually have it, just because it seems to fall right, like after Cougar Advance.
Yeah, it hasn't been confirmed yet, though, with the...
Okay, that's the date we're shooting for.
That's the date we're shooting for, right?
We're also shooting for a start time of 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock. In past, it's been a dinner. The committee decided that our emphasis was going to be on trying to get more people to show up, and then also perhaps a little bit of cost cutting. What we've elected to do is, instead of a sit-down dinner, from about 5 o'clock to about 6 o'clock, we'll have standing hors d'oeuvres with a cash bar, and then from 6 o'clock till 7 o'clock at the latest, we will honor the retiree, the various people for the various years of service, starting at, was it 20 years?
Yeah, I think it's 10, 15, 20, 25.
Correct. 10, 15, 20, 25, and anyone retiring will get a chance to speak.
Speak, right. No one else gets to talk.
Correct. That's it. And so we thought it'd be nice, because I think the intent is people want to celebrate with their coworkers and honor their colleagues, but afterwards, if they choose to go out to dinner, they can go out with their the groups or people that they hang around with at the district. And our next meeting will be in February to put a final budget on as far as the cost, not just the hors d'oeuvres, but also all the extras such as flower arrangements, gift cards, everything like that. We'll have that finalized.
Alrighty, and the venue?
Riverside Golf Club.
Right. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is something
So
that
we put down, I'm sorry, so we put down a deposit and all that, because I know that, or reserved it? or-
Working, it's, I'm gonna say Linda, Donna McLaughlin is working on securing that date
Okay.
and putting the
So it's not
deposit down.
secure yet?
Correct.
So if we place a deposit, will it be a refundable deposit?
I don't believe so.
And how much is the deposit?
I don't know, because we're in the process of trying to get the hors d'oeuvres settled on.
In other words, you haven't figured out your menu yet?
No.
Okay.
So we haven't settled on a menu or a budget yet?
I anticipate that the budget will be less than what we had last year. The budget, I think that
Less than
the
9,000.
cost was like, what, $65 a plate, and our hors d'oeuvres range from, our price was, what, 18 to, was it 35? Yeah.
1835 per person. Okay.
Depending on your hors d'oeuvre that's selected.
And the dinner cost was, as you said, 65. All right, so that's, okay.
Well, we're hoping more people come.
Correct.
So the cost then could go up.
You know what, I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna be the same cost as we had it last year. I do not foresee that, because I think in all fairness that the teachers and staff are really trying to put the best effort into trying to cut some of the costs.
Well, I think in light of the discussions that we've had at the last meeting about cost cutting, and earlier discussions that we've had about this dinner specifically, I think I would want more information, specific information about cost before approving this to occur.
We've already approved the budget.
We've already approved the budget. The budget's approved.
All right, well, let me then ask, how much money do we have in the budget at present that would allow to be spent for this event? Isn't that a fair question?
It is, except that last year's dinner is in this year's budget, so I'm assuming that this year's event will be in next year's budget, because we're on a cash basis rather than an accrual. So, but I'm going to make a suggestion at this point. If Mike, whenever you get the budget together, if Dr. Sharma Lewis can just shoot something to the board and update us, prior to putting the deposit on, so we get some idea. And I guess you have to have kind of an estimate to get the budget together, sort of an estimate of attendance. And I don't know when that, I guess you can do it in ranges or something, what your various thresholds are.
Correct.
But I would assume that, again, 200, everybody will probably not attend.
If this is our first opportunity to do some cost cutting, what you just explained to me was confusing. You talked about, we're not sure if it's in this year's budget or next year's budget, so therefore the budget that we passed, what meaningful reflection will that have on this year's dinner, if any? I would like, who should I ask then?
So the expectation is none, right?
Yeah.
And so we got to keep on looking for these cost-cutting measures that are required because of that levy vote. So we have to find them.
Okay. Well, I'm uncomfortable with this dinner proceeding, or not dinner, but this event proceeding, in light of the budget that we did pass and known expenses that we've occurred up to this point, that from that budget, could I get an answer as to how much of that budget we have spent to this date?
I think that's a fair question, and again, I don't know that anybody has it at the moment, but certainly.
I can answer that. What was approved by this board was $18,000 for employee relations, and that included all of the employee relations this year. But as Mary Rose said, the $9,000 came out of the $18,000 for this year, for last year's dinner. So for the May 2013 dinner, we paid for it after July. So that $18,000 is less $9,000.
So at 9. So we have 9 left.
So we have $9,000 left.
For the entire year.
For the entire year. and that included all of our institute days to this point. We don't have the exact amount that has been spent, but we can get that for you.
I suppose.
Yeah, I thought Rachel asked for that information. Didn't you ask for, what we spent at, for August, September?
The Institute days.
Institute
Yeah,
days.
I don't have a total number
So
off the
that's
top of my head. I know we've seen those numbers, but again, I don't count what we spent 2013 towards this year's budget. It just kind of happened to roll over.
Yeah.
But other than all the other stuff, I'm not sure that's something the administration can provide us, the total spent so far, where we are today as of winter break.
I suppose you could put together, what was spent on a cash basis and also an accrual. In other words, give us the event date plus the, and the cash year that it fell into. And so we can look at it both ways. That seems to be the most insightful, I guess.
We'll provide that for you at our Friday update.
All right, that would be
Okay.
great. And then we can go,
Correct.
go from there.
I mean, if you want to put it on the agenda for some future board meeting that you want to make a motion to not allow for a play recognition event, then you have that right.
Understand.
Just let me know.
Again, I would just emphasize that we're not acting financially prudent in light of the outcome of our last meeting when we talked about cost cutting, and it came from at least 4 members of the board, and it came from the administration. We have an opportunity here.
Administration that.
Yes, I heard cost cutting come from Bhavna and Zach's during their presentation.
Oh, as a result of the vote. Right.
Okay. If you allow me to continue.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we not expect some savings out of this and call for some savings from this event from last year? I would expect that we should expect at least 25 to 30% savings from what we spent from last year. And from Michael's initial report, it appears as if we do not have a handle on that.
Well, that's the committee's. I would expect that from the committee, and
I
we have a
agree.
board member on the committee.
It's something that we we'll talk about and make a decision on as far as the range for appetizer. But yeah, I think the intent is to try and cut money from what we spent last year. I feel confident we can do that, but I'm not going to commit to 30% right off the bat because I don't have those figures yet. But I agree. I think that before we make a deposit, we try and get our costs down and have a report out from when we get the amount we spent from the food budget from Dr. Sharma Lewis said, shortly after we'll have an expected amount of what we think we're going to spend on the hors d'oeuvres and at the Riverside Golf Club.
And certainly the per person charges are going to go down dramatically.
I agree.
And if you could, I don't know, did we purchase flowers last year? Is that
We
typical?
did. I mean, that were they did we got down the flowers? Were they donated?
I can't recall.
Yeah, some things were donated. We spent money on place cards. We spent money on a program, and we spent money on flowers.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But I think that's a fair, expectation for Randy. What Randy's saying is that, our expectation is that we're trying to reduce the expense, and last year we spent $9,000 plus. That we're trying to get below that.
Correct.
That's
Is there a
the
reason
goal.
why we went with the golf club as the same venue?
Less
Anything
expensive. The Brookfield Zoo was.
else? Is there any other venue that, besides those big places like the golf club or the zoo, that would accommodate
Well,
this?
we want to try and keep it around the Riverside area, and I can't think of any place in the Riverside Brookfield area that would be a nice. And I say the two things that came to mind for us was the golf club and the zoo. I mean, if we're gonna have it at Choo Choo, is that really how we all gonna fit in at Choo Choo, and how are people gonna speak?
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to be able to have people to sit down during the recognition aspects of things.
Nothing in Brookfield, huh?
There's a ballroom in the top floor of the town hall. I don't know if there's, you'd have to figure something else out for catering.
I don't know if they would. Perhaps I don't know if they would allow us to serve alcohol.
No, they don't.
Is that, you mean?
You know, we gotta have our booze,
The
so-
village, Riverside?
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
I'm not on the committee, I'm just throwing ideas out.
Yeah.
All right, so we're basically agreeing that Mike is going to get us some figures and some basically thresholds of if the attendance is X, the cost will be X. And we'll take another look at it. Provide that to the board before we put a deposit down.
Before we put a deposit down?
I think it's
Before we what?
put a deposit down, which means we have to be fairly quick about it.
Yep.
But at least we'll have an Oh, and then Bobna is also going to get us where we are in Zach to date on our budget on both a cash basis and an accrual. So we'll have the date of whatever event on specifically employee-related food. All right. Thank you. The next item is something that I asked Bobna if she could just kind of update me on. Is I noticed in the guiding principle, her plan, that in March 2014, we are going to be delivering a 1-year and a 5-year plan, or the administration is. And I guess I want to have a little background on what is that going to look like, and what does a 1-year plan look like? What does a 5-year plan look like, and what sort of information would we be able to expect with that plan?
Okay, in your packet, we've put together the guiding principles. We presented this to you in August after the board identified the 3 priority areas. Then the district leadership team went back and identified goals, and there's 3 or 4 goals under each guiding principle. And then I've highlighted for you in blue the timeline of when we are going to communicate and or implement things and check for progress, and then in yellow what the evaluation cycle is looking like. So specifically, we have 1-year plans for a lot of our academic and professional excellence initiatives, and we have a 5-year financial plan, so I just wanted to clarify that piece for you. So for example, I'm sorry, I'm just flipping through the pages. And it's also broken out by semesters. So for example, I'll go to academic and professional excellence. It says to establish, committees. One specifically, the Common Core Alignment Team. We've done that. We've put that in place. We've established what are the strengths and needs. We've put together an action plan for the area of English and language arts, and we're working on that right now. Dr. Gannon gave an update in October of how the process was starting, and then again in December of where the team is right now. So I feel like we're giving updates in each of the committee meetings. The financial plan, or the academic or financial and operational plan.
Are those largely verbal updates or on a slideshow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, presentations. We were thinking probably in May or June to kind of give you here's a year in review, here's what we accomplished according to the guiding principles, here's what we are still working on, and here's maybe what we've abandoned if we find that it wasn't working. Most of our plans as we're looking at this right now, I say 90% are in motion. One of the things we talked about is the infrastructure that needs to be updated in our financial and operational plan. That's something that we're still looking at. It's not something that's been solidified yet.
Could you repeat that sentence again? The operational plan?
Yeah, what did I say? Hang on, I'm gonna flip to it.
What isn't something you've solidified yet? That's all. I'm just trying to.
If you go to guiding principle in the area of financial and operational excellence, goal number 4, ensure technology infrastructure supports 21st century teaching and learning.
Okay.
We did begin that process in October of 2013 of analyzing what our current infrastructure is, what our strengths and areas of need. We had that technology audit, and we created a plan. However, that plan has been put on hold until the next few months, until we decide how we want to implement that plan. And so we're still in the process of researching, keeping our infrastructure in-house, looking at outsourcing our infrastructure. That's going to be a presentation next January at the Finance Committee meeting. So I know that that's still it hasn't been solidified yet as to what are the actual recommendations we're going to be using to ensure that we have a technology infrastructure that supports our instruction.
Okay.
So we've just, like I said, we've identified 3 to 4 goals per guiding principle. We've laid out a timeline. We've laid out who and what is responsible, and then an evaluation period. So we're planning on continuing to keep you updated at each of the committee meetings at Finance or Education, and then present a year in review at the May or June board meeting, and then plans for next year.
All right. So in May or June, we can expect a full update on this, and also a total new plan all at the same. I don't want to say the exact same time, but basically that's what you're planning to deliver in May and June.
Yes.
And that plan will look like this.
Yes.
So when we call this guiding principles, this is what we mean by plan.
Yes. If that's what if that's what the board finds satisfactory for them. If you want to see something different, I can see another column being added next to evaluation. How will we know it worked? Did it work? And is it completed or not completed? Is it ongoing, or is it going to be revisited? Some type of an assessment tool that's saying not only how will we know it worked, did it work, or what our future
Well,
plans
that's
were.
what I guess I would expect out of any effective evaluation, is that it evaluates and tells us, did we meet the expectations?
It provides its own ongoing monitoring. It's critical. So I have obviously we've discussed quite a bit on academic and professional excellence at committee meetings, which we've had 2 so far, and we've had also more than 2 finance committee meetings where we discussed a lot of finance and operations. I was looking across the communication. I know we've talked about that across those things, including regular board meetings and in the Friday updates that I've noticed. So I appreciate the ongoing feedback on where we're at in the progress.
Definitely. Definitely. I just want to make sure that I understood, and maybe everybody understood, what we meant by this deliverable, and when we say guiding principles, this is our plan. So I thought it was worth reviewing. And also thinking in terms of if the board wants to provide specific, goals, or, to be able to do that part of the next plan. I mean, the bulk of it does come from you, but again, board feedback on what we're going to be working on.
I'm ready to allow these committees to come back and say these are our goals, and then allow us to react to that and say,
I actually find myself questioning things that come up through those regular updates too, and just following through on those. And I think that's a process that's worked for me, especially through the Ed Committee discussions and agenda setting process. So I think you're getting feedback already, right, from board members on specific things. And this is really helpful here, just to get the 50,000 feet view. So I do appreciate this discussion here.
Well, part of it was that I I recall that I was not here in August when this was presented, so that's part of the reason I'm kind of revisiting it, but also making sure I see that we're going to get something in April and May, and
Yeah.
we would think, we just want to regroup a little bit and make sure we all know what we can expect. I think it's worth
No, I
discussing.
appreciate that.
And again, I'm presuming that all of the discussions we have, either in committee meetings or in agenda setting or in our public meetings, will, find their way into next year's plan. Yeah, of course it would, so, anyway, right.
Well, this also flows into our board cycle, right?
Right.
We need to make sure that, and I think we need to put in our board self-evaluation, are we, as individuals and as a group, feeling like we're meeting these goals and this process is working. So that's another.
Something we need to work on. I mean, from the strategic meeting that we held
Exactly.
last year, we developed a document, and we need to update that document on our short-term
the
goals.
process.
Yeah,
Process.
what we expect to achieve every single month. What's in our cycle.
I'm keeping this in my board notebook so that I can pull it out when I.
And actually, I have it too.
Forget.
So I was watching you look at it. I'm like, I have that, but
I have it in a stack at home of all things I'm going to revisit.
Yeah, but we posted the last one on the website so people could see, what is it that this board is expected to be working on throughout the year. And that's something I think we should continue on. Because right now it's old.
When did we post that?
It was posted last year.
Like in July or prior to that?
Probably earlier than that, because it's a 2011. It goes through June of 2013.
For those of us new board members, is this process similar to what happened in prior years? In other words, did you have like a guiding principles document to review, or is this a new process?
This is new.
This is a little, it's more organized than it ever was. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Similar grid roll for 5 years?
Not for 5 years.
With the
No.
curriculum?
That's the curriculum review.
I'm thinking
That's
of that.
what the document I'm talking about is the one that's posted on the website right now. That just goes, it talks about month to month from 2012 to 2013. What are we going to try to achieve? Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah.
Got
so
it.
maybe we should put this on our website and call it our working guiding principles.
That's what I was just telling you earlier, that
Isn't
you
it on
need
there
to.
under the board packet?
On the board packet?
No,
No, I mean
no,
on our website.
Oh,
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, not
Sort of.
kind of hidden. It's not hidden,
Right.
but not within a board packet.
This.
We will set
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what-
it's
that's what-
on
that's
there
what
in the board packet, but
Departments
you
just-
mean put it under resources or something?
Yeah.
I think so.
Just to
why not?
clarify that thing you were talking about,
Yes.
the curriculum thing that you were talking about, the 5-year curriculum
yeah,
cycle,
that's the other
that's
thing.
getting
That's
completely
getting
reworked.
I was
That's
thinking-
getting
Get
overhauled. Overhauled.
I don't want to take us off the agenda.
Right.
Okay, I see.
Math was up this year, but we're trying to do ELA and math this year, so that'll throw the cycle off for Common Core.
I'd like to set the expectation as Ed committee that we're going to totally
Yeah.
we're going to think about it not in those terms, but in new terms that we're defining now. Is that okay? All right.
All right. Any other questions or discussion on this topic? 1 and 5 year plans to be delivered in March? All right, let's move to technology. All right. Again, I've just got a topic on here to talk a little bit more about technology and infrastructure. And I think Mike, start with a suggestion that Mike got from our community, and maybe we can talk about that here.
I do. I asked Mary Rose to put this on the agenda so we can talk about it, but also I'm sure it will be a wide-ranging discussion tonight. No question, I come out in favor of waiting on technology. My waiting should not be construed as standing pat or against technology. My concern is the money we are going to spend and the direction we are headed. Administrators, teachers, students, taxpayers, and board members all seem to want and to have a say in this matter about the direction we are headed. I think we should give a chance for all stakeholders to give input. I therefore request that sometime in January we hold a forum on technology. I'm happy to organize and hold this forum. I would hope that teachers, administrators, community members attend and give input. There's a lot at stake here, and I believe the entire District 96 community needs to be given a chance for input. I think we should set a date tonight and ask all interested parties to attend. I specifically request the attendance of Vern Bettis and Matt Elanius. We all have opinions about technology and what we need to do or not to do, and I would hope that we could have a wide-ranging discussion for input.
Any reaction to?
I like the idea of the forum. I would make a motion that we have it.
Thank you. When's the Ed Red?
That's January 21st.
No,
27th.
27th.
Monday. It's a Monday.
27th.
You guys want to come back filled with knowledge? They're ready to partake, and maybe do after that. I bring it up because I've talked with other people in the community who probably have more knowledge about it than I do, as far as email systems and server space and everything like that. And I think, if we could put the word out and specifically invite various community members to do it, I think we'd get some good input. I don't think it should be like a board meeting where people can speak their mind, and I picture more back and forth discussion instead of people saying a statement and that's it, and they can't say anything, or we can't. Just a wide range of discussion to get ideas, because I'm concerned. I don't even know if we're going to buy Apple computers next year for the 5th graders. I think some of the recommendations that Client First proposed is pretty good, but how we go about it in the most cost-effective manner would be of great importance, probably not only to me, but the board and other community members. So,
can we talk about the forum? Where might it be located? What kind of a time frame are we talking about? I might suggest something a little non-traditional to a Tuesday night or a Monday night.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I wanted January, but with the Ed Red in January, don't you think it would? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I just think that waiting for this Ed Red meeting is like waiting for the legislature to
pass pension reform.
Yeah.
Good point.
Oh, man, you got to give them a little more respect than that.
Well, I would think maybe a Thursday night.
Please, what can we expect from that technology?
It's not a presentation for us. It's a presentation, just to talk about technology. These
would be other school districts.
Right.
It's their panels with other school districts and the things that they've done. But I could see us being able to incorporate what we've learned
After the fact, maybe?
Yeah. In other words,
Yeah.
because it's not going to be. It's already the end of December, so it won't be that
I
much.
think more
after
important
that.
you have
information
to be
to
able
bring
to
to this
publicize
forum
it.
is, kind of what is our budget? What is the recommendation from our administration and staff of what is our priorities and all? Or are we just going to go in there with this forum and just have no structure whatsoever and just anyone can talk about anything? I think there needs to be some outline of what we're going to talk about. Technology is. You could talk a lot.
Right.
There's so many different.
I think that's something maybe we can hash out amongst ourselves via email for an agenda. I would think probably a starting point would be those 30 or 60 day recommendations at Client First. I think I'm more than happy to write a letter to the landmark about the date and time and refer people to the Client First assessment that's on our website now, that people can read up and have their opinions to and kind of put it to those 30 or 60 days.
Yeah.
One other thing we're going to add that just came up today when Zach and I met with Lisa to talk about our Finance Committee agenda is another presentation regarding technology infrastructure from a company who does all infrastructure outsourcing. So they basically take all of our servers, they host our email and our servers and look at our wiring and host it off-site. So the recommendations that Client Verse made were, okay, we've identified a problem, here's what we need to do to address the problems, here's how much it's going to cost to fix it, here's how we recommend fixing it. That's one way of doing it if we want to keep it in-house. So we thought we'd bring you another approach to saying, okay, we've identified the problem, now let us fix it, let us do it off-site, take the equipment off of your hands, and you focus on the instructional side of things. So I would like to hear that presentation first in January, and there are other vendors that are out there. We only invited one vendor because this one vendor approached us. So we invited them to present on January 7th, and then I think this board needs to decide before we have the forum, do we want to continue to host our technology on site and invest the money in our infrastructure and hire people to support that? Or do we want to invest the money in our instruction and put our infrastructure off-site and have other people manage that, or an outside service manage that? So I think there's two schools of thought that we need to decide what we want to do as a board, prioritize that before the community forum comes in.
I don't know, because I don't know if I'm, I don't want to insult my intelligence, but I don't know if I'm smart enough to make that decision. And I would think someone like Art or various members of the community could say, look, here's the pros and cons from a non-vendor perspective, because of course the vendor is going to think it's the best decision possible. But community members like Chris McCarthy or Mr. Pope, who I've seen write a couple of letters to, could say, well, here are the pros and cons of having the server on site and off site, and just kind of get their input. So that's just
I guess the thing that I don't understand, or I still wonder about the Client First recommendations, is that a Cadillac plan, or is it, sort of bare minimum? And the other thing is, what sort of instruction level is it actually supporting? And, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. Shouldn't whatever we decide to do infrastructure-wise support a certain technology or a certain instruction curriculum?
And I thought that's what we were doing with trying to reach out to other vendors to get other proposals and all, and look towards other contractors that specialize in supporting school districts. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong, but, there is, the needs of, if you're in technology, but you specifically support, for-profit institutions, banks, what have you, and everything like that, that the needs and the priorities may be different there versus a school district, a public entity. I mean, and again, I could be wrong, but, I think we haven't, I don't believe we've gone far enough along with just hearing enough. I haven't heard enough from our own staff and administration on what is the priority problems that we're trying to address. We heard a whole list, everything, but what are the critical problems? Which ones are affecting the delivery of our curriculum to our students? And then from there, get their assessment, then go to the education infrastructure vendors, and then hear that. We've only heard from one. Let's get more, and then we start to assess that, and then we can have a forum and start moving ahead.
Could I make one suggestion? I'd like to hear from the other vendor as well. I think we should do it, instead of doing it at the Finance Committee meeting, do it at the business meeting so it's taped, because I know a lot of people watch the Client First presentation, and that's how they figured out what the specific plan is, so that the public can hear both sides, if want be, and then we can have a follow-up meeting that also the open forum can include educational personnel who can speak specifically as to how it's impacting instruction. And it's a little challenging in that we don't know what our instruction is going to look like after the committees after the Common Core implementation, so on and so forth. And there is a technology committee talking about the curriculum aspect. So that might be a bit of a challenge to include that when we don't know what it's going to look like yet. But I like the forum idea. Like I agree with Mike. I don't know. I agree. I'm not smart enough in the technical aspect. I was told by Mr. Pope, who is a technology director, that the client first proposal was a Cadillac plan. I can't explain and articulate why that is, because again, my technology background is limited, very. So I'd like to hear this other vendor and then proceed with the forum so they can tell us the benefits.
Is the goal of the forum just to collect knowledge from all about what their pros and cons of approach are?
I think it could be a little bit of both. I don't think we just have to hold it one time in January. That if it seems to go well, we just keep the meetings going maybe once every other month or what have you. I don't know. What would you like the goal to be? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking it through, but I just didn't know if you had a vision.
Hey, yeah, I gave him my best right there.
I think it's important to involve the community, and that's what.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that.
I'm not saying that.
I just don't. I'm trying to in my mind.
Right. If we just
make it
talk about technology
powerful
on Thursday, it's going to be all over the map. I like that we try and whittle it down.
So, I'd like to propose that we do our homework, our due diligence, and present something to the public that they can react to and say, here it is. What do you see as the pros and cons? And this is what we're doing. And if you have children in the district, this is.
You want to try and keep it narrow, or do you want to kind of keep it?
Well, give instead of just opening up the meeting and say, all right, let's talk about technology. Who wants to make a comment? Well, give them at least start off with here's the work that we've done so far.
Right. Do we just go with some of the key findings from client first and say here are their recommendations? We call on people who show up. It could be teachers say yes, we're having slowdowns because a lot of complaints of slowdowns. Well, how are the slowdowns caused? We've documentation that we've run out of server space, or are we just saying that at 12 o'clock because everyone's on the internet because people are at lunch hours and they're doing this and think that's when the internet's slow? I don't know the best way to surmise that our interconnection is slow, and if it is slow, what's the most cost-effective way? I mean, that's one of the things. The other thing that they're looking for is the email, kind of redoing our email system. Do we keep it to that? And then also the server situation. Do we keep it on-site or off-site? And then also the backup situation, which I don't know what we back up because the Power School data, from what I understand, might be backed up. I don't know what it is. I'd like to know, hear from Matt or Vern if it is. And if it is, does Pearson back it up? And is that an extra charge? Because when I talked to Illini Cloud, they said they could back that up in a much, more cost-effective manner.
Yeah. So those are excellent questions that we should at least have those answers.
Have those issues out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
For the forum.
Okay.
All right, so just kind of to recap, it sounds like a lot of us like the idea of a forum. I'm trying to hone in on timing.
Well, I agree with Rachel. I think it'd be very good to have this other
I agree.
Vendor have something presented or proposed.
Okay, so then you're looking at
for the finance
So
committee
that's the
meeting, but
January.
it won't be taped, to her point. So you'd either have to move it to the January general meeting, which
We could,
Well, no.
we could
Wait,
ask.
let me just ask this: can we have that discussion at the finance committee meeting, and then the forum, as long as it's after that, we can revisit it, put it out there?
Well, I guess her point was is she wanted the public to be able to hear the presentation like we hear it if they want to review the tape, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we could always request that this particular meeting be taped.
Yeah.
And I would,
That's cost.
It
We're
is
adding
a cost,
additional cost.
What's the difference
We're
of
trying to hold
moving
down
it
the
from
cost.
January, from January?
Minor league cost here.
From
Dave.
January 7th to January 21st.
We're talking minor league, a lot of minor
It's just 2
league.
I know,
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Is there any difference?
What do you want to do?
I
When do
see-
you want to have the
I'd like to see it sooner
presentation?
than later, even
The general meeting? That'd be the 21st.
Well, how can we go about getting it taped in by the finance committee meeting when we have to take action tonight?
Yeah,
Right, we can't.
Right.
we can't.
What?
Yeah.
Say
So,
what?
we'd have to have it.
The cost is probably,
It's within her.
To
Yeah,
have our
it's
meeting
authority.
taped, we all have to take action?
No, we don't. We can just.
Why can't that just be a,
we can direct her.
no, we just,
I'm fine with the
Okay.
As long as it's in-
president
We just have to
deciding
give
it.
our
I don't
administrator
know. I don't know how much it is.
direction.
We'll have to
one
go back
meeting,
and look
it
at
can't
that
be done.
contract, but I don't think it would be.
All right, so if we have them show up at the finance committee.
$500 nothing. It's $500 is significant. It's more money than we've been able to find in cost savings. Okay, so
a good
I
way of
agree.
looking
We
at
have to look at that assessment, that cost benefit. Are we going to get enough benefit to justify spending whether it was $500 or whatever?
so what are dates, what are the
let's-
dates
let's-
we're considering?
It's either the
Finance
7th or the
degree?
21st.
21st.
So
We
we're
can
talking
do the
about 2
21st.
weeks difference.
Put 'em on.
I say we have it on the
But it wouldn't be
21st.
televised.
The form or the presentations or board?
The presentation.
Okay.
On the 21st. So then, if we're gonna do that, why not wait till Lisa, Mary Rose, and David come back with all this knowledge and do this on Thursday the
Wow.
30th? Yeah, Lisa, I don't know, but Dave and Mary Rose, we'll see what happens. No, I'm sorry, Lisa, you know I'm kidding.
Whatever. It's December, Merry Christmas.
So,
All right, so that's going to be the 21st and the 27th, and then, so we have the forum perhaps in mid-February or early February?
why not just go for the 30th? Well, but then by the time if we
January
tape it-
30th?
January 30th would be a Thursday. Would people be able to?
Ample time to do publicity too, because
Yeah.
you don't want to go through all these effort and not, I mean, you
And
gotta.
then nobody shows up.
Nobody shows up. I mean, not, that nobody will. but
I
you-
would personally recruit.
It's over a month away.
Well, yeah, but you've got.
All right, but, and then
Holiday
if this is
there.
a forum, do we have to, does it count as a special meeting and we have to post it?
If we're all gonna be there.
Yeah. I know you three will be there, just,
Well, I guess, we could be audience members, I guess, but.
so I say
I'd
January
post it.
30th.
Post it.
You know what? I hate to throw this out there.
The ed
But our
committee?
ed committee meeting for February got moved to the following week. So
What does that mean?
the first Tuesday of February
It's
is
open.
is open. It's not a meeting.
28th.
The 4th, February 4th.
Oh, the 4th. That's the last. Sorry.
So you're saying the 4th, Art?
But it got moved because.
We're having a presenter come, and they are only available on the 11th.
Okay.
A presenter for the ed
Okay.
committee has nothing to do with technology.
Anyone's availability in the district.
Right.
So the February, so everyone likes Tuesdays.
No.
Just shaking it up a
I'm
little
just
bit.
saying. I'm not saying that. If you want to do it Thursday the 30th, I mean, whatever. It's just.
Try to avoid Mondays.
All right, well, then I either say, from our suggestion, either February 4th, which is a Tuesday, or Thursday, January 30th. What do you guys think?
I think either one.
Whichever works.
Lisa?
It doesn't matter. Whatever works. Go for Thursday.
February 4th might be better, because then the three of us may want to talk about what we found at the 27th.
Oh, yeah,
and come
you're
up
going
with to the
meeting too, yeah.
And I'm not going to come back with any new numbers.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to eat.
So we're talking about having a presentation on the 21st by this second vendor.
Correct.
And then we're talking about some people attending the 27th meeting, and then having this on the 30th, or the 4th.
Or the 4th. I would recommend the 4th, because that gives
4th.
us a week to maybe sit down and summarize our
Okay.
findings.
And
And
the
be able to
4th?
share that with you via email, so you have that before the forum.
What about doing it before the education committee on the 11th? So that we're just all here as is, and we're not adding an extra
What does this
meeting.
thing last?
After.
Not 2 hours.
What?
What does this thing last couple of hours?
Did this to me before.
I would say minimum,
I think you should
about 90
focus on-
minutes, would you say?
Yeah.
But then to get back to,
If we want a forum, I think we need to schedule it to the convenience of the community. And that's not at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. I think we need to schedule it at 7:30 or on
do
a
we have
Saturday.
it here at Hauser? Would we have it? I'm going to put the heat on the publicity. I'm thinking the auditorium. No. Or do we have it over at Ames? Or
No,
what?
Can I like Rachel's suggestion about the Ed Committee, because we are having a presenter talk about what are high achieving schools looking like and how do we need to incorporate the Common Core, and some of those Common Core skills are 21st century social media, online resources. So I think that'll give you a better picture of where we're
this
going.
thing could last an hour and a half, and then we got another meeting. You know what? I like February 4th. I like it here at Hauser. What I could do is put together topics that I think we can discuss, and I'll present that at the January 21st meeting, and you guys can say, yeah, or add this or whatever, and we kind of have an agenda for the 4th.
So we'll have it in the auditorium?
I don't know. Just
I
thinking.
think we need to also identify what do we want our classrooms to look like. I think that's the piece that we're all missing here, is what do we want our classrooms to look like? And if on the 11th, if we're going to hear a presentation from someone that's going to share what a high achieving schools look like, what do we need to be doing together as a community to support that, and as a district, technology is a huge part.
I understand that, but to me,
let me just say,
that's
I would like-
curriculum. I just want to get the infrastructure right so we can support the
Yeah,
curriculum.
But don't you have to know what
understand
it's
the
going to
curriculum to build the right
support, though?
infrastructure.
Boy, oh boy.
Right?
Well, which came first, chicken or the egg?
Right.
I don't
Well-
know. You're right.
But the goal is, our district mission is to provide a curriculum, a learning environment.
But I think
Promote
that could
certain
be.
things.
I think that could be a topic later on. You can't have the curriculum if we don't have. This is my opinion. You can't have the curriculum or support the curriculum if our internet stinks.
Right, so
Right,
what we're
but how
saying.
much do you need? How much do
Yeah.
we need on the infrastructure side to make sure that we can drive the
According to
curriculum?
client first,
We're not
need,
going to have answers
50.
to any of these things right
Why not?
away.
It's just,
Why isn't there at least an expectation that our educational professionals can't say that this is what we want to deliver to this district?
Why don't we just put it on the agenda and have people talk about it on the 4th?
I mean,
But I'm just saying, start first with our educational professionals.
we have educational professionals, okay? We have a
Yeah,
superintendent.
but are we
have-
deferring to them to have the first opinion, to say, this is what we want our curriculum to look like to achieve the
I
district's
don't
mission?
think we need to wait for a presentation by some educational consultant on what we want to see in the classroom. We should be,
I'm talking about our administration and our staff and these committees they're spending a lot of time. They're doing this analysis. That
We're
we
talk-
need to hear from them.
we're talking about a forum here to collect information. Let's not
Yeah, we're
put too
trying
many
to
things
figure out what
before
information we're
it.
going to collect.
I'm afraid of-
I got to kind of agree with Randy. It goes back to your point. If we just talk about technology, we want to be there for 3 hours and nothing
Right.
done. Let's just start with the infrastructure first. I think infrastructure before anything. Because according to our superintendent, our infrastructure stinks right
You're
now,
just talking
no matter
about it.
what.
They're not taking
Well,
any
that's not
action.
what I said.
Yeah.
Well,
I was
that's
never,
not-
I don't want to go on the record saying that.
Well,
I
we've-
did not
yeah.
say our infrastructure stinks. I said we need to look for ways to update and
All right,
upgrade our
very good.
infrastructure.
I jumped the shark here, but all right. Can you say it needs? You would like to see it improved, right?
Vastly.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And there's
I would like to
reasons
see an
for
effort,
reasons.
right, and I
Right.
would like to see an effort to have it improved every year. I would like us to look at it on an
Very,
annual
very good
basis.
point. And so to do that, I think it starts with the infrastructure. It just we're going to go round and round. Well, let's talk about the curriculum first. Well, that's a night we can have with the education professionals that we have hired. I just want the community. I want community input on the infrastructure first, so we can get that infrastructure to where it's improved,
You know
and
what,
then talk about the curriculum.
If I could, I guess I'm sort of falling on the side of Michael and Randy as well. I think we can have a forum and gather that input. It may be
Please
rough.
don't get me wrong. I'm not
It may
saying
be
not to
rough.
have this
In fact, can
forum.
I just
I'm saying we gotta.
Can I just finish my statement?
Sure.
We can then take inputs from that and bring it into the Ed Committee with the additional information coming from our, educational consultants and our administration, and try to synthesize that into a better plan. That's sort of what I'm thinking.
And what I'm saying is, it's not to do this work to delay this forum until April, June.
I know you.
It's just to say, they've done quite a bit of work already. Are we giving them an opportunity to say where they are?
Yeah, at the Education Committee and at this meeting, you're right.
Let's use that as a segue into this forum and as a starting point.
Right.
At least.
Look, and I just think this discussion that we're having now for the last 15 or 20 minutes is because everyone's got an opinion of where we need to be with technology, and my opinion isn't right. Your opinion isn't right. We gotta. I just think, to me, it's got to start with the infrastructure that we all agree, can be improved upon, and let's just start there so we can give our educators and our administration a good infrastructure that we can build curriculum on. I think it just starts there.
I would like to go forward sooner rather than later, because I'm afraid we won't get a full curriculum assessment until the spring. And I mean, what we're talking about, the Ed Committee, is basically a consultant coming in and giving ideas, or is, a presentation? Can you explain what they're really going to be?
So the group, there's a group that, I've had the opportunity to work with in a couple different, in my old district and now. And what they're going to do is they're leading our CCAT group. They're going to present what the highest performing school districts nationwide are doing in regards to instruction. And within that, we will be able to have an idea of where we should be years down the road with our instructional technology, with our instructional practices, so that we can replicate what our highest performing school districts are doing.
And if you look at who, the first Ed Red thing that comes out, Dr. Sharma Lewis wants to go, Mary Rose wants to go, Lisa wants to go, Dave wants to go. It's an important topic, and we all want to do the best we can. I get it. So let's just February 4th. We'll stick, baby steps. Stick to a couple of the suggestions client first made to talk about that, and then have a discussion about curriculum. Right? Correct.
We're going to consider the other vendor as well.
Right,
And
then we'll have that. Right, when I say client first, because we paid for this assessment, I think we worked something off, but then we hear what the folks have to say on the 21st.
To be honest with you, other than a few of these experts that we have in the community that have, maybe because of their profession or whatever they do, are very conversant with the technology, you're going to get, I assume, and depending on how you advertise it, you're going to get parents,
Sure.
teachers, students who I would actually hope who would come, and they're going to have opinions about
how they're using it,
what it's doing in the classroom, and that is going to play out that way. There's going to be more people, I think, talking about that than are going to be talking about, well, I think, if you go with this email provider versus this one, blah, blah, blah.
I agree, but that'll be the beauty of it, that if people have suggestions, and it kind of spills over to what, sprinkle a little bit of what David wants with the curriculum.
Is it...
we absolutely have to have the curriculum discussion.
I agree.
There's no doubt. I mean, we have to understand, ultimately, before we make these investments, what that means in the classroom. And I was frustrated before because we sort of put that beside because of some of the more immediate technology concerns. But now that I think we've taken a step back, we might as well have that conversation.
Is there any particular reason we can't invite this this consultant to present in the first half hour of the forum, or?
I would
Would
encourage
it be
it.
a little- or would it
I
be
would
a
like to keep
Pandora's
it
box?
vendor
The
free.
education consultant I'm sure his availability is limited. He's coming from California.
Which is why we have it on.
Okay.
Well, that's why
Right,
we
well,
moved
we
the
could-
ed committee meeting, because we wanted to align it with his.
The 4th is fine.
Okay.
All right.
I'll come back with, on the 21st with an agenda to go forward. And where we're going to hold it? Here at Hauser? I think it's big enough. So, you know what? I appreciate
The
it.
golf club.
Right. And again, in no deference to Dr. Sharma Lewis, Mary Rose, Lisa, David, you guys will all have things to, input after the
Put
meeting.
a plug in to defer to, I mean, we have a T cubed committee that you.
21 T cubed.
21 T cubed committee that, you know, maybe you talk to them.
It's not the 20 T cubed or the 19 T cubed.
All right.
21, I got it. That you talk to them about, you know, what are kind of the topics that we could put out there to initiate the discussion.
We'll invite them to come.
Yeah.
It's a committee of 10 strong instructional leaders that are, their passion and their focus is technology. We'll invite them to come.
And anybody who has suggestions, I guess, for an agenda could
Yeah, send it
contact Mike.
to Mike.
But, so-
I second to Michael's recommendation that we have Vern and we have Matt there at the meeting.
Well, everyone's invited, right?
Right.
I mean,
Well,
we,
they may be invited, but
to require them? Do you want them?
yeah, I think they should be there. Okay.
Okay.
That's.
All right, so just summing up here, we're going to have the presentation of the technology vendor on the 21st at our regular board meeting. A bunch of us are going to the Ed Red meeting on the 27th and come back smarter. And
Maybe more confused.
that's our charge, to come back smarter. And we will have a forum on February 4th.
Thank you.
All right, and so that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Are we doing 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
7.
7.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your spearheading this. Next, no, architect's not on here. Crossing guard, intergovernmental agreement. This is just a preliminary information. The village of, we have been cost sharing up until this time with the village of Riverside on some of the crossing guard costs. And let's see here. And we have never had an intergovernmental agreement. We have a draft of an intergovernmental agreement, which is going to have to be updated. It's at the draft of the intergovernmental agreement is with our attorney, but it has to be updated because it has the wrong number of guards, crossing guards. It was included with 8 crossing guards when in fact we only have 6.
Who wrote this governmental agreement? The
The
village?
village of Riverside, but our attorney will review it.
Well, if we've never had one before, why do we have to have one now?
I think we've decided it's good order to formalize the agreement.
We who?
Well, the village of Riverside and informal talks. Would you rather just,
Well, I mean, I just want to define we. I wasn't aware of any of this, and so if it's
like
we,
business
the
practice.
board president in the village, that's fine. I just want to understand what that means.
it's been proposed by the village of North Riverside. I've asked, it
As
started
Village of
Riverside.
or North Riverside?
Riverside, sorry.
Okay.
And, no, they've asked, we asked some questions. They sent us invoices. And I asked if there ever was an IGA. They said no, and Ben says, well, we should have one. Also, the procedures here, or one of the things, one of the changes is that the crossing guard at First Avenue will be shared. RB is willing to pay for part of it. So they will pay 1/3 of the cost of that particular crossing guard. That will be handled by a side memorandum of understanding. In other words, with the crossing, with what the intergovernmental agreement is between us and the Village of Riverside, and then a memorandum of understanding will be added to basically cost share with RB for the one crossing guard.
That's a new cost to us.
It's
I
less of a
believe,
cost.
I think we were already doing
We were paying half, now we're paying a third.
So, I
But
mean,
why are you gonna answer why we're these increases?
It's North,
Their
it's the
proposal.
village's proposal, and that's why I'm bringing this to your attention
Can I,
this
you know,
evening.
I know this has come up in the past and under prior boards. Who is legally required to provide the crossing guards? Did we know that
From my
answer?
understanding, because I remember this was an issue before we
All of
came on
us.
the board, I was under the impression that we never paid anything. That the
Right.
responsibility fell on the village.
which is probably why there was never an intergovernmental
I
agreement
totally
before.
agree.
And then somewhere along the line, there was some handshake agreement that the school district would pay for some portion of some crossing guard at Ames or something.
Right.
I mean, I don't know the history, the detailed history.
Yeah,
of that.
I think we're kind of.
But this is bringing me
Kept
to
it
the
there.
point, and I'm just going to make this statement. I will vote against this intergovernmental agreement. I will, because, and I've said this before, I think that public safety is a responsibility of the village. I totally agree that, and I want our students to be safe. I would never suggest that they be put at risk at any time. And again, there will be discussion of, yes, we've got money. We had this discussion with the levy debate. The school board has all this money. The village doesn't. This and that. That's true. And you can go any side of that argument you want. But ultimately, I'm not in support of this because I think the village needs to be responsible for public safety. The other thing that's totally not even addressed here is that, have you been approached by the village of Brookfield? Because they provide 2 crossing guards for our students, our Hauser students who live on parts of Hollywood area, and then the Hollywoods.
I agree with everything you said, Art.
So I mean, I'm just making that statement now, and we'll see how this progresses. But I'm not in support of it.
And then the high school only chips in for the crossing guard at First Avenue and Fourth, while the students walk home from RB, use the crossing guards too.
There's
So I
way
guess-
more high school students that get used to that crossing guard than there are
Yep.
at First Avenue than there are Hauser
Well,
students.
not to mention, what about St. Mary's? They use the crossing guards too. I see it every morning. So
Yeah.
I'm not inclined to proceed on
I
this.
saw that little old lady use the crossing guard too, so we gotta have her cough up the toe too.
Right.
Actually, I use
That's
the crossing guard too when I get off the train and I come to the school.
I gotta agree with Art there. I just, I think my interpretation was that we never paid for it. Somewhere along the line, we had some kind of agreement to pay it, and we've been paying it. I don't think we should pay for it.
I would just pose the question that, we don't invent something over again. Communities all across the country, I'd like to know what other communities and school districts are doing on this issue, on sharing.
Now, that is something I think that was looked into before, so we may have some historical information or not. I don't know.
I remember, I wasn't on the board, but I remember
it
being
was-
in the audience and there was a discussion about the
This was
history.
before the 4 of us came on.
I'd like to know, what our options are and what other communities are doing before we say yay or nay to
Can
the
we
proposal.
pick up on Randy's thing about options? What are our options? One, to approve this agreement and pay what the
$32,000.
$32,000, or go back to what we're currently paying, which is 18,000, or say nothing. I think those are the three options.
Those are your three options. Either accept the proposal as is, modify the proposal and pay something.
I'd like to hear from our council on this, what our responsibility is. I don't know if that's something for open or closed session, but that's something I'd like to hear from them about.
We could ask them to weigh in on that.
Yes, definitely.
Well, they're
So-
reviewing it. and
They are?
so-
But are we taking any, we are not taking any action tonight on it?
No.
There's
No, this is
roll
a
call.
discussion item to bring it to your
I
attention.
appreciate that.
You know, just
I don't know what
for
the-
information purposes, there is a federal program, it's called Safe Route to Schools. And what they do is they form this partnership between the village and the school districts, okay? And I don't know where they separate the financial arrangements, but it's all about it's responsibility of the schools and the parents and the community to get these kids to and from school safely. And
Do you know if there's any federal dollars available for that program? I mean, that would.
It's always great
I
to
totally
know.
support that.
there are federal dollars. It's a federal funded program.
The Ben Sells has talked to me about that program, and the requirements to get those federal dollars are extremely rigid, rigorous, and onerous. And for a community of our size, you'd probably spend more to meet the requirements than you would getting back money. And we could, I could get something more from Ben Sells if you'd like to hear.
I would
if there's
disagree
any-
with his assessment on that.
I would at least like to
Nancy.
get some details before
Yeah, and
we
what-
take his word for
And
it.
what Ben Sells would probably
There's any funding right now for the cross-
suggest is that he's talked to his professional police department, and that's, he's taking the recommendation of people who he has deal with traffic every day. But we could get Ben's,
But there are many communities here within Cook and DuPage counties that are members of this Safe Route to Schools program.
can we get more information on that?
You know what? I think we should have a community forum. on that.
I was just gonna say,
So-
Randy, if you have any connections at all of anybody from those schools, that to ask them how it works, how difficult it is to participate in that and getting those dollars. But the thing is, I don't know if we should do that, being I don't know if that's our responsibility. I wanna hear
Yeah.
our attorneys
I-
weigh in first and see.
I agree with Rachel. I think then I appreciate Mary Rose bringing it up, because I always thought that when I first heard we paid some of it, I was like, what? I always thought we didn't pay anything. It's kind of a surprise to me. I think we wait to hear back from legal counsel as far as what our responsibilities are, and then we have our discussion and vote on it next meeting.
Okay.
But by hearing comments from Art and myself, I think, and hearing other board members, I think we kind of know where we stand.
All right,
Well,
so
we might be able to get some history too. I know there's history.
This came up a
It
number of
came
years
up,
ago.
and previous board members, we might be able to wait, like Nancy might know.
Yeah.
So what's required by law is what we're going to find out from our
Right.
attorney.
Our attorneys-
But what is commonly practiced across the country and in Illinois is something that we're not going to find out about unless we do a little research.
well, where would we go to get that information, do you think, Randy? Maybe the Safe Communities?
I don't know where it would be obtained. I think perhaps it could be
You have to reach out to other school districts and.
other school
villages, I would
districts,
think.
other superintendents, and say, hey, what do you do in your district? How do you provide for the safety of your students at the crosswalks? And find out, there's probably a whole variety of different treatments. But I would like to know what those treatments are, or those alternatives are, before we vote. I don't think it ought to be just zero presents or Cadillac.
By the way, can we finance a bridge over First Avenue if we only have to pay $11,317,000 a year? how long could we pay off that bridge? That would be a plan.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a century. Not good management.
I don't,
Yeah.
All right,
I don't
so
see any
we
humor in
listen
your
to,
comment
we
there.
listen to legal counsel, what else, and then we kind of,
And maybe.
Well,
if
we
can
might try
talk
to see if we can get some history.
My
Right.
recollection of that was that they had asked, and we said, and the district responded by saying, even though we have the money, no, we're not responsible, we're not
That's
paying
right.
for it.
That's
And
what I
somehow,
remember.
then
or
how did we somehow end up paying?
That's
Or
probably
did-
why they said no.
Or were we paying and they asked for additional and we said no? I don't know.
I don't know
the
what
answer. I
happened.
don't
Well, I
know.
think we should verify that
We need
what
to-
we've actually been paying too. I'm pretty sure I
You didn't
talked
verify
to-
this? This isn't verified? The
I-
current cost?
I believe a few months ago, I did get invoices from Sue, but I don't have them right now. But we can double verify that.
Do you know what are we making any payments?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've been invoiced, and actually for a very long time. I think it's like
It's a long time.
multiple
Right.
years, like
Yes.
maybe 5, 6, I mean.
But we probably got invoiced in May and paid it in July.
And I would,
Everything else.
I would support,
happened.
I would
Somehow
support
they
District
slid in and now
96
they're trying to-
involvement in paying for crossing guards.
I think Rachel's question though, what are our legal obligations? And I guess I'll be happy to call some school districts and ask, and what is this, safe way to school, or?
I can talk to you about it offline.
All right, we can do that, and see if we can bring some more information.
Are we gonna do Secret Santas now, or was that later? I had Lisa, I don't know who Randy had, I think I had David.
Secret Santa.
I'll find something in my purse.
Am I at the end of this agenda?
Thank you.
Wait, there was one thing I did want to talk about, was
Alright.
the website. David had mentioned, we had talked about FOIAs and the way to publicize the FOIA, the FOIA's request that we got and the FOIA request that we responded to the public. And Bobna had a suggestion about a link to our website.
We could put, under Board of Education, we could put a link, just like we do where, like, who the FOIA officers and how do you request FOIA or, request information. We could put all the FOIAs that have been requested and then all the supporting documents as links, if that's something that you think would be beneficial.
I think that would be great. If it's not difficult to do, why not?
And then just one other thing, you had mentioned something about we're doing an audit of our website to make sure we're in compliance.
Yep.
Could you tell the board a little bit more
I was
about
gonna,
that?
sure, and I have more details. I have a narrative that I'm gonna present at the January 7th, now that there's room. I was gonna talk to Lisa on the Finance Committee agenda. Give you an overview of, we did have our website audited to make sure that we have documents needed for legal compliance, as well as how to make it more user and user-friendly and accessible. So we have those recommendations. We'd like to present them to you, and then what we're going to be doing is an action plan to put them forward. So we'll present that at the January 7th.
Who'd be auditing?
We have, she is a retired paralegal and a retired curriculum director, communications director at Evanston School District 65.
And she's familiar with all the statutory requirements with regards to, okay.
And looks it up through ISB and also the legal firms and what we have to have updated on our website, what we have to have posted, how often does it have to be renewed. So she's done that. We have a complete listing, and then we're putting together an action plan of how and when we need to do that and put that in place. So I'll present that at the January 7th Finance Committee meeting.
Okay.
Great.
All right,
Is that
any
okay,
other,
Lisa?
Wow.
all right, are there any other topics?
No,
Are we
this is a
talking
great
about
meeting.
going into closed session after this?
Yes, we are.
Well, I would, maybe didn't pay attention, but did we have an update on the tech issues with condensation, the computer issues?
It's in the board packet.
It's in the board packet?
Yes.
Can I hear it verbal just for the public?
Why don't you just read the paragraph off the-
Sure, I'll-
the guiding principles?
I'll read the paragraph, and if you have other questions, we can, Hauser water issue was related to a clogged condensation drain that was caused by the collection of debris from the contractors during construction last year in 2012. The drain was cleared and is checked weekly to ensure that the line remains free of debris. In the Ames server room, which is located under a washroom, Acitelli plumbing contractor was contacted to provide a solution to prevent any water reaching the server in case of washroom flooding. We are waiting for the estimates from Acitelli. Central server water issue occurred 2 years ago and was related to the foundation leaks. Foundation wall was sealed. Water has not been detected in the server room since the repair.
Very good.
Great. Any other questions? All right, may I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
I make a motion to adjourn to enter into closed session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity.
Second.
Roll call.
Juanita, roll call.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
David Kadama,
Aye.
Michael O'Brien,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Lisa Gaynor,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mandia.
Aye. Great. We
Randy, how
can now
much
adjourn to
was
closed
the-
session.
I